Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show. You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
This is Night Dreams Talk Radio Network News, and I'm James Creechbaum. The ghost of the stone tape theory. There has actually been much speculation among paranormal people as experts as to what ghosts really are, ranging from the conventional spirits of the dead to the decidedly more fringe ideas like interdimensional interlopers, demons, and even time travelers. The basic concept of what is now known as the stone tape theory basically boils down to that certain locations, whether it be due to their construction, geological makeup, or some other unknown factor, have the ability to store mental energy and psychic impressions from certain past events, recording them in a sense as if images to a film. It is speculated that under certain conditions, these events, usually the more traumatic the better, can imprint themselves upon the landscape and be played back like a videotape over and over. Bone-crushing crocodile that hunted dinosaurs 230 million years ago has been discovered in Brazil. The fossils of a bone-crushing ancestor of the modern-day crocodile that hunted dinosaurs 230 million years ago, it has been discovered in Brazil, and it's stunning researchers as when they found it. The fossil was discovered by a fossil hotbed in Agudo in southern Brazil. It has been nicknamed the T-Rex of its time. Newly released photos show why Pallas is called the golf ball asteroid. New photos that have been released show the heavily cratered Pallas and why it's been nicknamed the golf ball asteroid. It actually does look like a golf ball because countless impacts created many craters on its surface that were probably caused by its highly unusual orbit. Nessie Lake carcass found on a Scottish beach. The violent storm that battered the UK this week exposed this monstrous carcass on a Aberdeen beach. Found washed up on the Ballymena Beach along Scotland's east coast, the mystery skeleton was discovered by a member of a local community. Now, the image quickly generated a great number of responses, including several making predictable comparisons to the Loch Ness Monster, despite Loch Ness being over 100 miles away. Some users suggested that it could be a saltwater crocodile. Well, it turns out, however, this peculiar creature is none of these things. The remains are actually those of a minke whale, a species of seaborne mammal that can grow up to 35 feet in length. Scientists, they propose damming the entire North Sea. A Dutch oceanographer has suggested building 2 gigantic dams as a solution to rising sea levels. The plan would involve building 2 dams, one between Scotland and Norway measuring 475 kilometers across, and another between the coast of France and southern England spanning 160 kilometers. Known as the North Sea Enclosure Dike, the project would cost up to 500 billion euros. Elon Musk, he teases awesome Neuralink update. The billionaire tech magnate is working on developing a revolutionary new type of brain-computer interface designed to enable man and machine to work together. Neuralink has been described by Musk as an answer to the existential threat of an artificial intelligence surpassing our own capabilities. Not a great deal is actually known about the technology, how it will all work, or what it will be able to do. Other than that, it will enable a human to control a machine using only their brain. Last mammals lost the ability to smell flowers. Now, this includes mammoths. Now, they think that mammoths, researching their DNA, extinct mammoths, scientists have learned what may have contributed to their demise. Incredibly, however, despite most mammoths disappearing between 15,000 and 10,000 years ago, a few isolated populations managed to hold on against all the odds. Now scientists are working on resurrecting the genes of mammoths that once lived in an isolated population on a Siberian island until around 4,000 years ago, and have revealed that these last few individuals suffer from a variety of potentially debilitating genetic defects. While this may not have been the ultimate reason for their extinction, it was certainly another nail in the coffin for what little remained of the woolly mammoth population at that time in history. By the year 1650 BC, the last few individuals that were left had all but died out. Next news break, next show.
From our compound, from the West Coast to the East Coast to worldwide, both on the internet and terrestrial radio, you're listening to Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
And we are back with Dave. Now, Dave, what other things have you been investigating, well, since 1986 or so in the paranormal? What type of topics, subjects, and all that type of stuff?
Well, of course, hauntings and UFO reports and sightings as well. You know, I mean, I started delving into Bigfoot. I didn't tamper with for many years after my sighting, but I actually saw the show In Search Of, you know, Leonard Nimoy's old show growing up, and that kind of furthered my interest in all things supernatural and paranormal. And I saw a man on there named Hans Holzer doing EVPs, and I had a recorder I had just gotten for Christmas that was almost exactly like the one he was using, and he was doing EVP work. So I started doing that when we go to, when my stepdad was in the Air Force. You know, we would travel around on vacation a lot and going to a lot of ancient Native American sites and stuff. And I caught my first EVP at Mesa Verde. I got Native American chanting and drumming, and there was nobody there but us. So that really set the hook, line, and sinker pretty much on me. And over the years, you know, after many years of doing it, I started, you know, people knew what I did and what I was interested in my side life. You know, I was in the military for 8 years and in active duty, and then a year in the National Guard, and then I went into federal law enforcement. And you know, people found out, friends of friends knew what I did, and then somebody would have something going on in their home, and word of mouth got around, and I know a guy that does that, and they would reach out to me, and I would go try to help them figure out, you know, what was going on in their homes and businesses and other things such as that, and that's how it all snowballed into the haunting aspect. And I had a couple of my own experiences as a younger man, too, and I wanted to know more. You know, to me, all of this stuff is some of man's greatest questions. Are there unknown creatures walking among us? Are we alone in the universe? And what happens to us when we die? Those are three of man's, you know, pretty much unanswered questions up until this point. You know, kind of like the final frontier, so to speak, as a Star Trek lore would say, you know. And that's why I do what I do. It all fascinates me. You know, it still blows my mind today when I capture a Class A EVP in a location. You know, I ask a question out loud, and I have a recorder in my hand, and I play it back, and I have a response to that question. That's very, very hard to explain by any rational means why that just occurred. You know, and that just fascinates me even to this day.
Well, one thing you mentioned, you got out and then you went into federal law enforcement. How did your comrades look at you, or did they know that you were investigating?
No, I never went public like what I do now with what I was doing, because, you know, especially in law enforcement, they would have, you know, the odds are they would have sent me to the head shrinker and go see the psychologist. You know, and that's just back in those days. It wasn't, you know, and it wasn't that long ago, but early on in the military and my law enforcement, it really wasn't accepted like it is today. in my early years of doing this stuff, you didn't talk about it. I mean, you would be labeled as crazy or whatever the case. You just didn't talk about it openly, other than with close friends and family. That you would swap stories and, oh yeah, this one time I was here and I saw this and it really freaked me out, or whatever the case might have been. But TV has really changed that as far as paranormal stuff goes. It's brought it into modern day pop culture. It's part of the entertainment business now. But it's like a double-edged sword. It was good in some aspects and bad in other aspects, because let's face it, TV's entertainment. It's not really the real deal when it comes to investigating these types of phenomena. But the general public doesn't really know the difference, because they're really uneducated when it comes to what real paranormal investigating is. They just see things on TV and they think that's how it's done, and they're going to go to a place for an hour and they're going to capture all this phenomenal thing.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
It's just not how it works, But it's I take it personal as one of my type of jobs to explain the difference to people and tell them that what the real deal is. You go out to these places and you might spend 3-4 days and not capture anything, but all of a sudden, in a 2-3 minute time frame, you have a whole bunch of unexplained stuff go on, and you capture some stuff, and it's pretty phenomenal when you do.
Well, what's interesting? I had a person that was going to come on, but then he decided not to. About a year ago, he was on the Travel Channel. It was a ghost hunting type show, and he was one of the lead people on it. And what he was upset is that they would go out, and naturally it's being paid for by the production company, the cable channel, right?
Right.
They would come back with nothing. And then the brass would say, well, you need to go back out tomorrow and come back with some footage. And the guy said, well, I can't guarantee that. Well, I don't care. Fake it. You need to come back with it. And he said after enough of that fake it thing, that he just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I could have had several of my own TV shows by now, and he's not telling any lies when it comes to that. You got to understand, a production company is spending $50,000, a week or every 2 weeks on producing this reality TV show, and they expect results. If they don't get none, obviously they're going to manufacture some, because it's all about money and ratings. That's the horrible truth about it. That's how it is, and that's never going to change. I was doing this stuff for many, many years before I ever got on any TV stuff, and I do a lot of one-offs now where I'm telling my experiences, or they have me on some investigating a little bit. But here's the thing, look at the people that have a resume before they ever got on TV. That's who you want to pay attention to. People that have written books, people that have got video stuff or documentaries on these phenomena. That's the reality of it. And some of the best ones are, in my opinion, are the ones where people are actually sharing their experiences and then they recreate them for television. Those are, that's just some of the better stories out there, and how TV wise. And I really like the ones that go out and they do a documentary style show about these various phenomena, with real investigators, people that are, well known in the field as being the real deal. The reality TV show, yeah, they do capture good stuff sometimes, but it's just not the case. You're not going to capture things every single time you go out. People need to understand that. They could be based off of some other person's experiences, that they captured some things, and they're doing the same thing. So you just take it for what it's worth. It is what it is, and but it also is very good for the paranormal in a lot of ways as well. Now, unfortunately, some of these shows, they want to go in and say everything's a demon. That's the farthest thing from the truth. Okay, true demonic hauntings are very few and far between. And there's a whole list of things that need to take place in order for it to even be considered as a demonic type of phenomenon that's going on. And people need to understand that. It's not like you see on certain shows where every time they go out somewhere, they're encountering demons and they're being possessed. That's just not the case.